Welcome to the Coach V Show here on Island City, where the beach meets the streets. And today we are celebrating Polynesian excellence with my brother Alema Te'o in the state of Utah, out of Samoa, doing his thing. Over 25 years, he has ran the All Poly Camp as the owner and the founder. And he has some projects coming up. And also, he is the new head coach of the Granger High School. Coach Te'o, welcome to the show. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great, Coach V. Thanks for having me. Excited to be here tonight.
Yes, sir. And just so good to have you back. You've been on here a few times already, and we look forward to just continuing seasonally, just visiting with you and checking in. How goes G High? How's it going being back in the high school head coaching position? And how is Granger High? How has the last, 6-8 weeks now? How long has it been?
So, yeah, it's been about 8 weeks since I've been here. And, man, G House is rocking right now, you know. And so got our kids in the weight room. We're pounding it out in there, just getting ready to get out on the field here in a couple of weeks. But the kids are awesome here. You know, we're not a big program. We don't got a lot of numbers. But I got some fighters here, man. So we're not making it easy for anybody this year. That's for sure.
Absolutely. Coach, can you share, because you are no longer in coaching really in any capacity. I believe you were doing the All Poly Camp still. Junior and I attended last year. You were doing some consulting. You were working with some other organizations. Can you share how this happened and why did you choose to come back, Coach, please?
You know what? It was crazy, right? You know, like when I retired, you know, I didn't really jump out of it. I got talked into doing some Little League football, so I helped my buddy do his thing over there, and then did some, you know, just some recruiting advisement, you know, at a facility here called Stroformans, and you know, that's been going great. And just coaching at West, you know, last couple of seasons, just been over there, being working with those guys and their coaches, and had a fabulous time there. I jumped in basically by accident, to be honest with you. This job opened up. I didn't know about it. One of my good friends, Ifo Pili, who's the city manager out here in West Valley.
Okay.
So Ifo Pili reaches out to me because his sons go to Granger, and he goes, "Coach, did you put in for this job?" I said, "No, I didn't put in for it." And I told him, "Man, I'm having a good time just chilling here at West, coaching them up, you know." And he goes, Man, we really need a shot in the arm out here. I mean, we're going on our third coach in 4 years. And, you know, these kids out here could really use a different flavor, you know. I guess the head coach who was here did a decent job, but he left to take another position in California, so he was only here for 2 years. And, you know, we went back and forth. Then he gave me the bishop speech, you know.
Right.
You know, the service and, you know, come out here and do the community thing. And I said, okay, I'm going to put my name into it. And if I get it, then you're going to have to jump in and help out. And so that's how it worked out. And I was the last applicant to put in, like the night before it closed, and then got the interview. And a couple of weeks later, I was in. Here we go. So,
talk about the patience in the process, Coach. You've been through this a handful of times at so many different levels, right? For the people that are watching that really aspire to be a D coordinator, offensive coordinator, be a position coach, just how the hiring process goes. And I'm not saying that I know what you felt, but I just feel like guys like you're always like, hey, I get this thing, cool. I don't get this thing, cool.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the guys that I meet, it's like, V, I need this job. I'm like, yeah, be careful what you wish for. Is this real, Coach? And talk about the process of the interview process and all that to help some of these guys and inspire them to be patient in this process, whether you get the job or not, Coach. Is this real?
Oh, absolutely. You know, I mean, first and foremost, I mean, anybody who's in the coaching profession, you know, and then you're working your way up, whether you've just started or you're in the middle of it, you know, learn as much as you can and be prepared for the moment. right? Because you
Mm.
never can say, well, I'm ready now. You can never just say, hey, oh yeah, I got, this is my time, you don't know your time. The man upstairs will direct you. You know what I mean?
Mm.
But as you go through your experience as an assistant, as a coordinator, you're logging in those hours that are going to be very important to your future as a head coach. And
Mm-hmm.
that, and I tell guys all the time, man, you got to be ready for it. And so I mean, I feel like right now we got a lot of young coaches that are coming in, but they don't stay long because they're impatient, and so
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
uh, and I said, hey, this thing, it's a marathon. If you want to be good at it, not all of us are blessed to have a program where you're getting P5 kids coming
Yep.
through, and I'm okay with that because I like the developmental process of the athlete, right? And so, when I got ready for this interview, the standard thing, they ask you your experience, your
Mm-hmm.
philosophy, and all that stuff, a little bit of this and that. Well, I didn't get the traditional questions like I would normally get. They kind of tried to pick my brain on how would I handle certain scenarios, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And
Yeah.
and the thing that one of the questions they asked me is, you just lost to Granger. Parents are upset. People are fighting in the stands. And I stopped him right there and I said, not going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I said, hey, that's not going to happen, And because it was related to culture, fans are upset. This is going on, that's going on. Your kids are running all over the place, starting fights, this and that. So that's not going to happen. It won't happen because our culture is going to take over. And
Mm-hmm.
when we're put in those situations, we'll rise to the occasion and we'll hold our water and walk off the field with class. But that will never happen. Now
Mm.
we ain't planning on losing to Hunter either. That's the goal.
Mm.
So our goal is to win West Valley every year. And hey, they're coming after us when it's that week, and we'll be ready for those guys. But the main thing I wanted to put my 2 cents across to the admin was, our culture will never put us in a position where our kids are disruly and our parents are out of control. We'll set the tone.
Mm.
So come to find out, right? That was kind of a trick question, and the guy told me, hey, you know what? You're the only guy that answered that question correctly.
Mm.
I said, what? He said, yeah, you're the only guy who stopped us midstream and said, hey, it's not going to happen,
Yeah.
because we're going to because you address the culture of your program and how you're going to run it. And so that was kind of one of the main questions that we felt like, gosh, there is no question about it, man.
Mm-hmm.
The other guys really didn't, because of their experience, right? They didn't know how to respond to that in a certain way, but having been through the war a few times, and knowing what
Mm.
it takes to build a program where your kids maintain professionalism and play with class, lose with class as well, you know they were confident in that answer to say that, shoot, this is what we're missing.
Mm. Very good. Coach, are you able to share with us who's leading the charge offensively, defensively, and anybody else that you'd like to share that is really going to really help you build the culture and then fundamentally make sure you guys will be set fundamentally this spring, fall camp to be ready to launch into your first season there?
Yeah, so right now, I brought in a good friend of mine, Ed Larson. He will be
Okay.
consulting the offense, so to
Okay.
speak.
Coach
And
Ed.
Coach Ed Larson,
Mm-hmm.
and then he'll do that side. And just being my first year, I'm going to call the defense and kind of
Okay.
see how some of our young coaches develop along the way. I've got some great guys up front. I've got Rodwell Talai, former youth, and Paul Belford that'll be
Mm-hmm.
heading up our O line. Along with some young cats. And then my nephew, Kima Malia Tulua, and his brother Sai will be handling the D line, and I will be taking care of the the linebackers. I've got a couple of guys that we're thinking about right now for the secondary, waiting for that thing to come through. I've got a great head coach for my younger staff, Marvin Mangale. He's been around for years. He was with me at Alta, and he has a great demeanor for that level, because it takes a special kind of coach to handle these kids as they transition from junior high to high school.
Yes,
and Marv is the perfect coach for that. I've got a former player of mine, Lavelle Ika and Scott Cottis. They'll be handling the running backs, and another former player of mine, Missy Taumoipeo, played for me at Snow College and was also at Utah. He'll be coaching the tight ends and working with the receivers. Let's see, who else do I got? I've got some young guys that are from the area. Loma, what's Loma's last name? Olival.
Loma? Yeah.
Kautai's little brother, and Monet Latu, another guy. These guys are youth coaches, but they're going to be working up with us. They're kind of a transition coaching system that I'm running, where these guys will work with us throughout the week and then coach their little league team during the weekend, and then be with us as well. So we can, as we develop coaches, one guy moves on, the next guy can move in. And so I've also picked up Riley Mulitalo, a young new coach. So I got a handful of some young guys that are early in their careers. Got some guys who've been in it for a minute, along with myself. And I think we got a good blend of guys that are willing to come together and work hard and do what we need to do to get this program moving.
Yeah. What about some players, Coach? Every great program and every great culture has great leadership at the administrative and the coaching levels. And then really within, there are your ambassadors that really hold the kids accountable, and they hold themselves accountable, Coach. Can you share with some of the players that you really see in the last 8 weeks that you're looking forward to be in a leadership position, what positions they may play, Coach? Are you able to share that?
So right now, probably my two top dogs right now are going to be Adam Kofe. He's a lineman, plays guard for us. He's a load, great leader, great kid. Has some great qualities in him. Along with Moa Havili. Moa Havili, he's definitely a top tier guy. 6'3", 275. He got iron hands, man. That sucker. He's got a great punch, and he's got the look that guys are looking for. Under recruited right now, but those two guys I'm looking at to kind of help guide us through the process and recruit more guys, right? So I've taken this approach: find the best players who are the best leaders, and bring them in, and then coach them up. And I'm telling these guys, you go out and find me 2 more cats. All right. So every 2 weeks, we want to build our leadership list, and then once we get up to 8 to 10 guys, that'll be our team leaders. And so,
yes,
and we expect these guys to, toe the line in the classroom, on the field and whatnot in the community. So that's kind of, like I said, this is going on week 8 for me, and we're still planting seeds, and getting these guys adjusted to the changes mentally, emotionally, so. I'm definitely a lot different than the coaches they've had here before, based on what the kids are telling me. But their response has been good. They've responded well. They've embraced the changes and the approach that I'm trying to take. So I'm really pleased with these guys as of now.
Very good. Yeah. 8 weeks in. Coach, last question on the high school scene and you being the new head coach there at G House. I first met you in 2003, probably the summer of 2003 or the summer in 2004. It's been so long. And you were a head coach at that time, Bountiful High School, I believe.
Woods Cross,
right? And then you had a couple of stops since then, right?
Yeah.
What are you bringing with you? I mean, I remember driving up from off the freeway. We were having Denny's across from Woods Cross, right? And then you were going into building that program. It's been 20 something years, coach. What are the lessons? It is a handful for everyone aspiring to be a head coach. Did you take notes? Do you have a notebook? Do you reflect back at all of those life leadership business lessons? Because when you're the head coach at a high school, I mean, you are everything, right? What are some lessons that you brought with you from your last couple of stints, coach?
You know what? That's a great question because I reflect on that experience a lot. It's helped me grow as a coach. We were not a good football team over there, and
Mm,
so, but my approach was good or bad. These guys, they deserve to get the best coaching we can offer them. So the
mhm,
approach was, hey, the end result may not be championship, but the effort level and the attitude will be.
mm,
So if we can transform some attitudes and build some confidence in these kids, so when they walk away, they may not be headed to a D1 school. Maybe they're walking into, a construction job or whatever. Several kids in those teams that I coached in my early years are quite successful, making
yes,
lots and
sir.
lots of money,
Yes,
and
sir.
have been very supportive. But what I've learned also is connection is the key.
Mm,
And so it doesn't matter how much you know as a coach or what your background is. If you can't connect with your players,
mm,
you need to figure it out right now. I never understood coaches who relished in the fact that their players don't like them.
mm.
And I'm saying, dude, if they hate you, get out of the game.
Right,
This
right,
is
right.
not for you. Because we're dealing with high school kids. Emotions are different. They're going through multiple changes, chemically, socially, spiritually, physically.
Mm,
And so if you're the type of coach who is just a one-way guy and you don't have the flexibility to adjust, you're not going to be very successful.
yes, sir.
So kids are different, and you got a kid in that age. They're emotional, man. And I tell my coaches, first thing I tell them, you cannot coach them the way you were coached.
That's real.
So
That's real. Yeah, coach, we're old school. I mean, and I know I'm a bit younger than you, but I feel like my generation was like your generation. And just that's just speaking on my opinion and my experience that we would respond. These kids, they're going to fold the tent and go home. Is that real, coach?
it
I
is
mean,
real.
it's
It
a
is
it's a
real.
different day and age. And there's a lot better things that they at least see a value that they could be doing than get screamed at where nobody cares about them, nobody connects with them. So very good points, coach. Let's talk all poly, coach. Before we come back to your project going on in May, let's talk June. Let's talk all poly over 25 plus years. I was able to experience one with Junior last year as he was in seventh grade. Now we're coming up eighth grade. Give us the dates and what's going on. How can the community reach out? How can we help? Where do we go to sign kids up, coach?
Thanks, Coach. Our poly this year is going to be June 15th for our Rising Stars camp, which entails the junior high age.
Mm-hmm.
The kids going into the seventh and eighth and ninth grade,
Okay.
and then our college prospect camp will be June 16th. The For the 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. And
Okay.
so both of those camps are extremely competitive,
Mm-hmm.
as you've been able to experience, and so there are a lot of guys there that are hungry for the opportunity to play college football. We'll have anywhere between 30 to 40 college coaches there, coaching the kids, evaluating the kids, and also recruiting them after it's all said and done. And so we're excited. You can go to allpolysports.com, www.allpolysports.com, and register and get on and let's, bring your kid out and let's get after it. If you are under recruited,
Mm.
this is the perfect camp for those guys to get noticed, to get evaluated. If you're going into your senior year and you're not getting any action at all or limited action, then you need to attend a camp like this where college coaches can evaluate you in shoulder pads and make an offer or get you on their list. Because of the portal, and I'm sure you're aware, less than 1% of the kids are gonna sign with Division I schools. So the 99% of you guys, you need to be at events like mine. So hopefully you can get on and get in now.
Very good. Coach, talk about the history of the camp really quickly. And talk about how you have become the #1 non-institutional camp. And that with so many of these one-day camps, and again, I'm just a year into this, being that Junior was a rising star, 7th grade, now he's in 8th grade, going into high school, that everyone's doing this like one-day thing. But not a lot of contact camps like back when you and I first met in 2003, where you could go to a university and have a contact camp. Most of these camps now are really camps where people are just going for exposure, but they don't play in the helmet and pads. Can you talk about that and what the differentiation and how All Poly is different than other camps, Coach, please?
Yeah. So, you have all these mega camps going on where there's a lot of skills and drills, right? And, there are a lot of coaches there. But I will share an experience with you with a P4 coach. I won't mention the school.
Okay.
He comes to All Poly, has a son, brings him to our camp. He just got done going to a mega camp in Texas where there were 1,200 kids, and a mega camp in California where there's another 1,000 kids. And he comes to All Poly. Within an hour, he runs up to me. He goes, "Coach, I saw over 2,000 kids in the last 2 days, and I only wrote down 3 names. I'm here." I said, "I'm here in less than 2 hours, and I've got a list of 8 kids that I'm calling my head coach right now that we need to offer these guys."
Yeah.
And so, and I go, "Well, why do you think?" I always ask our guys that, and he's, "You know what, Coach, nothing can replace the live contact camp or the film. It's the only true opportunity that they can give an evaluation, that's accurate, right? I mean, hey, you can run a 40-time fast, you can jump high, but can you do it in traffic, right? Can you do it with the rush? You know what I mean? You got a lot of guys who go to these line camps and they're working moves, and that's great work. But man, dude, can you battle a double team? Can you do it through a double team? Can you do it under duress? So the opportunity to get evaluated doing real football holds a lot more water than 7-on-7 competition, or, running a shuttle run at a really good time. I call those athletic ratings.
Yes, sir.
You can see them, what the build looks like, how they move, and all that stuff. So hey, you get an athletic rating of a whatever. Now, when you go to this camp, can you translate all those scores into shoulder pads and helmet? Because that's the testament. And so I feel like, I don't understand why a lot of the D1 schools too, they're kind of steering away from the contact camps as well.
Yes, sir. That's right.
That's pretty limited now. And you'll like this. The head coach at Sac State wants All Poly to come there.
Oh, come on. Let's go. Let's go.
What I mean? So
and Coach Monaco, shout out Coach Monaco, who's now on staff over there at Sac State.
Yeah.
Yep.
Coach Monaco, he reached out to me, and then, we were on a text feed, and Coach Alonso, as well. They want to make a move, man. They've been doing it over there for a long time, but they see the same thing. You get 1,000 kids there, and what do we get out of it? Really?
Yeah.
It's very limited. So, but we get a contact camp. Now we know we're saving money going to a camp like this where we can see it all versus going to these mega camps, collecting a handful of names, and then having to go back out and see them in their, at their campuses or evaluate their film. So you get to a camp like Poly, hey, you see it all. You see it all, man, and you get to coach them and get a feel for what their demeanor's like, what their psyche is like. Can they handle tough coaching or not? So the college coaches still love our approach. And so
Yes, sir.
and
And
we'll
coach,
continue to do it that way.
and this was my opinion, because people hear full contact camp, and I think the assumption that all poly is more of like a lineman camp. Remind me who Kyle. He used to be in Utah, but now is in the Carolinas. The quarterback that was there last year, who was an 8th grader.
Oh shoot! Freaking Wong is his last name. Fong. Remember?
Yes. That kid has. So that kid was an 8th grader, and Junior was a 7th grader. We happened to be on the same team playing quarterback. And I'm like, this dude is at all poly, because my last all poly camp was way back, like 2009, right? Yeah. Prior to that. So to see that, and that guy got offered by BYU, and then he's got offers from Arizona State. I believe he was at Virginia Tech this weekend. He's coming on the Coach V show, right? And there was another guy who had like multiple offers last year. He was a quarterback from there in the Salt Lake City area. Samoan brother, but he was a junior and still came back to camp, right?
Yeah, that was Cam Lopati.
And I was like, I looked at those two guys. So one was on the Rising Stars day, and then we got to see Cam on the second day, where Junior just came and participated in the morning. And to see that level of quarterback, because my son's a quarterback, and because I've been around Kellen Moore, I've been around Jared Zabransky, right? And so I've been out of the game for a while, but to see that level of skill set at all poly, I was just like, wow. And then to see the running backs, the linebackers, the DBs. And then one thing really came across about all poly, how it's full contact, but the players and the coaches coach the tempo, right? We only go live during scrimmage. But during practice, it's high tempo, a lot of contact. But guys, it's like an NFL tempo where in helmets, NFL guys can go full blast, but nobody touches the floor. Now, with the Rising Stars, there's a lot more kids falling on the ground, right? And then in the high school level, those guys kind of know their deal. And it was very impressive to see those two things, the level of skill set at the skilled positions for me, being out of football for a while, but still knowing what it should look like, at least from my opinion. And that was impressive, Coach. Anything else any last comments on all poly? Is there a cap on the number of registrations? Last year, it was packed. How does that look like in the forecast this year, Coach?
I kind of foresee the same, and I'm thinking we may grow a little bit, because people are realizing now that, you know what?
Wait, are we coming to the high school? Are we going to be at the high school this year?
Or same park? No. It'll be at the park.
At the park, because it's bigger, It's got a lot more field, okay.
Yeah. See, we got to go with the field space now that and the numbers of kids signing D1, because it's diminished so much that more and more kids now are realizing that, man, I got to get somewhere where I can get noticed, or at least have options if I'm not able to sign with a Division I school. What's happening right now, and what's happened a lot, is there are a lot of kids who got Division I offers, but end up signing, FCS or Division II.
Yeah.
I mean, so that reality is really hit everybody right now, and they know that, man, the numbers are real.
Yeah. I mean, Coach, come on. Was it Cam Ward from Miami, Washington State was at a D3, right?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, and then you look at our last Heisman Trophy winner, and he was at Indiana, won the Heisman this year. I mean, he only had Yale, ended up at Cal, went for Cal in his junior season, or he still got a year left of eligibility, but leaves because he's at the top of the game right now. I mean, you got to find a place where you got to find a place.
Yeah.
Right. And it don't matter where that place is. And then you look
Yeah.
at Ole Miss's quarterback, Chanlis, right, coach?
Yep. Yep.
He got a year. They gave him a year back to compete, but he was a D2 national champion and then ends up being the backup at Ole Miss. Right. You just got to find a spot. Last comments on that, and then we'll talk about your project coming up in May, coach.
You know, again, man, the numbers don't lie. If you haven't been getting contacted or had any activity going into after your sophomore year, you're going to have slim pickings. And so, and plus, they're going after the more Division II and Division III players right now. Not to say that the JCs are still getting picked up, but what I'm hearing is they're leaning towards the 4-year transfers because it's a lot more similar culture-wise in the transition.
Yes.
And so
especially
JC
academically on campus,
yep.
Right, coach?
Yep. And so the fit ends up being better if they're coming from a D3 or D2 school because of the just the lifestyle in itself. And so the acclimation they got to go through is very beneficial when they climb the ladder. And so these guys, they don't really, you go to a lower division school and you ball out, they will find you.
Yeah.
Plus, you're not as expensive. You know what I mean? I mean, you're going to make you're going to make some of that cheddar, man. But, your first time going in, they're going to get you at a better rate as if you were better than if you were coming from another P4 level school.
Yeah, that's real.
I mean, that's a reality.
Finances, the numbers and the number of spots for parents and recruited athletes, that's big. And then for the college coaches, the number is the expense and the salary cap per school budget. Yes?
Yep. Absolutely. So it's a numbers game, man. And, they got to manage their numbers a certain way. And, if you fit in, if you spark an interest somewhere, you better jump at it,
Yes,
so,
sir. Geez. I like that. So, Coach, you text me this morning that you have a project coming up, Rumble on the Rock, and it's in May. Talk about your level of collaboration in that. What is All Paulie's role in that? What is Alema Te'o's role in that? In Rumble on the Rock coming up in Samoa in May. Talk about that, Coach.
So, we are the driving force behind that event. So I will be running that event, and it's going to be classified under our program called Football Island. So Football Island is a program that's designed to develop football in our indigenous Pacific Island communities, not necessarily here in the continental U.S., but in the South Pacific in general. Could be Samoa, could be Tonga, could be Fatuna. Anywhere where there's an interest in the game, we like to believe that we would be the flagship to take the game there and start it off the right way. Now we're starting off. Now here's the key with American Samoa is they've been playing football for a long time, and their numbers are proof that if we give them the right tools and develop them the right way, the NFL numbers are just going to shoot up even higher. Yep. Now, I have a little bit of a gripe with the NFL because they put a lot of money into the Australian facility. They have an NFL facility over there, and I get it. Hey, I get the concept, and great, good for them. But they're not as productive as American Samoan numbers. I mean, so if you look at when you look at Australia, it's just been a handful of guys in the last 7-8 years that have come out of there, right? Mailata being the key guy, right?
Yes.
Mailata has been the guy. He's the lone dude, but in American Samoa, when you look at it over the last 10 years, over 30 dudes. Over 30 dudes that have come through that process. And, you got Frankie Luvu right now, who's really killing it. Right now, the Mauingoa kid that's coming out of Miami, I mean, shoot, there's, who else we got coming in? And now I'm tongue tied right now, having to think about everybody's name. But the opportunity, what we're trying to do is elevate the game over there by creating events on island that they would normally have to come to America, the mainland, to do, right? So they're not going to be able to leave Samoa to go to a showcase in Las
That's right.
Vegas.
That's
You
right.
know what I
That's
mean?
right. That's right.
So our concept is, let's take them the resources and put it together. I've already talked to a handful of college coaches that are planning on going down to be a part of this. And so we're excited for that. But the thing I'm telling you, V, the resources in American Samoa are so limited. You know, coaches gotta at the after school, they gotta take out all their desks in classroom, set up their weight room in the classroom. They rotate in 8 kids at a time. That's what they gotta do to lift, lift weights and prepare, So our goal is to create some type of awareness that here in this island, football's happening, good things are happening, but we need resources to continue to develop these guys, right?
Yes, sir.
And so that's kind of the main goal is hopefully, the NFL sees this, sees that we're trying to promote football in the Pacific Island the right way. And you would want to get behind it. And so, and maybe, I think they'd be better off putting a facility in American Samoa, and put some resources over there, because guess it's like a 10-hour boat ride away. Tonga's right down the street.
Yes, sir.
You can easily pull those guys from Tonga to Samoa and get those guys going from there versus trying to take them from Tonga to Australia. And then another deal is, in their facility in Australia, man, I don't know if there are a lot of football experienced guys there.
Yeah.
Is what I'm hearing. I don't know, but from guys who have been in that facility, they tell me that I don't know if there's one guy who's actually played American football. That is running that place, which, hey, they're doing it with their own guys. But one of the things that I've heard is they're struggling to bring in Polynesian kids to that facility.
Yeah, right.
But I'm saying, hey, you put something here in American Samoa, you got Tonga right next door. All right. You got Fiji down the street. You got
down the street. Yeah.
You got these guys that it's probably an easier access for them to get to American Samoa versus going to all the way to Australia. And again, our kids, whether they're in Tonga, Fiji, Fatuna, or wherever, if they're brought into the game the right way and taught the right fundamentals, they're gonna excel fast, man.
Yeah, very good. So, Coach, we're talking about the first annual showcase in American Samoa. The title of it, as you sent me on the flyer, is Rumble on the Rock 2026. May 19th is the combine, right? So we're going to do some skills, athletic measurements, height, weight, speed, all of that stuff. And then there'll be a padded scrimmage on May 20th. And then some of the high schools listed, Leone, Tafuna, and a lot of people don't know, like, football. So when I was at the All Pauley camp in 2003, and then 2004, 2005, we started having some of those guys come down. They were connected to La Tech. You coached some of those guys over at Snow. I was like, they play football in American Samoa, right? So people really don't know, right? But then the things it is that I've seen is like brothers got to share helmets. One brother comes off the field, gives the other brother the helmet, right? Is what I've seen on CBS, NBC reporting on those things. But just talk about those 5 high schools and then your May 19th and May 20th date. Rumble on the Rock 2026. It's the inaugural season and the first annual showcase in American Samoa, bringing college coaches over and starting to really integrate and promote that these are some places for the consideration of corporate America and the NFL that, hey, put some resources in here, watch us make this thing roll. Talk about that, Coach.
Well, the 5 high schools, right now, I know the three of the high schools, I know their coaches very well. The other 2 high schools, I guess they're in transition right now.
Okay.
But at Leone High School is a young man by the name of Duke Elisaya. Now,
Okay.
Duke Elisaya is the younger brother to Doug Elisaya,
Elisaya. Yeah.
who is currently the head strength coach at the University of Michigan.
Right. Right.
Yeah, and so and I'm from the Leona area. I went to high school there and graduated from there. Well, he's been bringing up his players for the last 6 years,
Yeah.
and over
Right.
the last 6 years, he's put almost 30 kids in college.
That's right. That's
They
right.
come up to Poly. They've gotten recruited out of the camp.
Yep. Yep.
Uh, and the other school over there, the bigger school is Tafuna,
Okay.
which is with the head coach is Oakland Salavea. Now,
Okay.
Oakland Salavea is the younger brother to Joe Salavea, who's the assistant head coach at Arizona.
Arizona. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so, and that's the same high school that Frankie Louvu comes out of.
Yep.
So that's his high school there, and they've done a great job with the kids that they got over there. He's a fabulous coach, and he brings kids up as well. The next coach is Joey Josefa at Whangaitua High School, first year head coach, young, but he's a former All Poly All Star. And then he got a scholarship to UH, played at UH. Was a successful running back there, running back, fullback, got drafted to the NFL and was with the Buccaneers and the New England Patriots. And so he's back now as the head coach, and he's doing very well. And those guys, the culture thing is really strong with them, and they've done a great job with their 3 programs. And we expect many more of the kids coming from the high schools up at our camp this summer because of so many kids that have jumped out, to college recruiting. And one of the kids right now, the Fafili kid, he's at Purdue right now. He came out of our camp as well about 5 years ago, and I think he's going to be an early round draft guy.
Yeah.
So I mean, and so but they're committed, right? Those guys don't get paid any money. They do it. It's a labor of love down there. They don't have the same resources we do, and so their time and effort, man, they spend triple the time we do up here in the mainland with limited resources. And so,
and like you're saying, that's the difference between a facility in American Samoa, that there are very experienced college and NFL players that are heading high school programs that have the athletes that will actually attend a facility and do the job at a level that's very different than maybe in Australia. So we'll see how Australia works out. And then, Coach, as we close off here, how are things on the daily? So it's April 1st as we're recording right now. And then, so how's the hustle and the bustle? And then what are some closing thoughts about just the state of Polynesians within the NFL ranks, the college ranks? Because even when you and I first connected in 2003, 2004, there were just a handful of college coaches at the Division I level. Coach Kaufusi at BYU, Robert Anai, Keith Uparesa was out there. Salavea was just coming up. He was at San Jose State at the time, Jose Malo. Now they are littered in every conference. And I was counting Division I schools because now Sac State's a Division I school and the MAC and all these other schools that I have no familiarity with. And I was like, Junior, I think there's 138 schools now, right? And there's almost a Polynesian coach, regardless of where they are geographically in the United States. There's almost 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 players, let alone even more, like University of Hawaii, BYU, Oregon, USC. I mean, Polynesian quarterbacks are at the highest level that has ever been. Tua, and we have Heisman Trophy winners from St. Louis High School, came over to Oregon. But right now is a great time for Polynesian players, coaches. And I was at the Santa Margarita game versus Corona Centennial for the first time high school, right? I haven't been to a high school game in a while, at the Rose Bowl, and the number of players on both sides and families tailgating in the parking lot, Coach. It's just Polynesian Central, right? And now it's like that in volleyball too. for our women, and now it's going into the flag football, right? Talk about just the state of Polynesian influence and the movement that's the all poly camp. And now you're going to American Samoa, bringing resources and coaches to get these players recognized on the rock over in American Samoa. Talk about this, just the state of that.
Well, like you said, when we were few in numbers.
Michigan. The head strength coach, Doug Alasaya from Utah for decades, is the head strength coach at Michigan, right? Talk about that, coach. Come on.
Well, shoot, and his assistant is Junior Salt, Tongan brother from Salt Lake City, former Mount Sac. Yeah. And so Lewis Powell is the D-line coach.
D-line coach, yes.
Yeah. So coach, and then we got Ikaika Malloy, who's at Penn State.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then now our players, right? So I have Lex Mailangi coming on the show, and he's at Mater Dei, right? He grew up here in the Sacramento area. And then I just had Taufo'ou, who's at J. Sarah, and he's one of the top recruited. He's going to Ohio State, Penn State. He's going to Michigan on recruiting trips. I mean, the state of Polynesian football is just at a very good place, in my opinion. Your thoughts?
Exactly. And not only are we doing it on the field, Coach, we're taking up jobs in the office as well.
Yes, sir.
We got several of our guys who are assistant ADs, who are recruiting coordinators, who are GMs, who are in that space as well, along with the rise of guys that are in the strength and conditioning profession.
Yes.
We're seeing more of those guys, and you know what? And it was a smart thing to do, right? Because as the numbers of our college coaches grew, we were telling people, hey, there are other options in the football world that you can jump into.
Yes, sir.
And we're seeing that now. And so at our last convention at the AFCA, I sat with about 20 plus guys who are admin guys, football operation, DFO stuff, recruiting coordinator, player development, all these guys. And
shout out Jake Lange at SMU. Shout out to my guy.
Absolutely. So, to me, and this, and this is not a secret, guys. This is not a secret. Our culture separates us from everybody. When you think of it, right? The standard of our culture separates us because we're respectful, we're hardworking, we listen, our people are easy to associate with, but when it comes time to battle, hey, we're the first ones in the hole. We're the guys that they want next to them, We're the guys that the quarterbacks want to spend a lot of money on to make sure they protect them, Mm-hmm. And so, to me, that's carried throughout the generations, right? Mm-hmm. Although we spread out throughout the course of the game in all different levels, all different positions, the one thing you can always count on with our people is, hey, we're going to be humble and respectful, but when it's time to do the job, we're going to come to kill you.
That's real talk. Man, Coach, so great visiting with you. Thank you for coming on the show. And allowing the Coach V Show and Island City Media and my guy, Danny Masse from Driven Mindset to be able to promote what it is that you're doing. Anything else that you'd like to launch, we would love to promote and help promote that. Congratulations. Our social media page on Island City and with Driven Mindset and the Coach V, we get tens of thousands, but the posts just congratulating you, Coach, on your position there at G House was crazy, right? Just the number of people. And then I just got on there, saw that I saw everybody on Facebook we're associated with just kind of go, oh yeah, G House new head coach. So I just, oh man, I got to do something for Coach. And it just blew up, Coach, right?
Thank you for doing that.
No, that's automatic, Coach. Really that's a testament to you and what it is that you do, from your associations to Laie, to Leone High School, all across the world. Even your sister's kids playing D-line still at Utah, yeah?
Oh, no, he's a linebacker.
That dude's a linebacker, that 6'4" kid that I saw over at All Poly Camp. What's that kid's name?
Cyrus Polu.
Cyrus Polu. I mean, Coach Te'o is connected to Cyrus Polu. And then, Manti Te'o is now a host of the NFL Network. And I remember seeing Manti Te'o and having the opportunity to award him as a freshman. The freshman year of his summer, he came over from Punahou High School. I was like, man, this is the best. It's the best linebacker we got in campus. This kid right here. And you're like, oh, Coach, that's my nephew, right? So, Coach, thank you for coming on the show. Any final comments before we finish off here?
And just keep it real out there. And any of you guys want to get into coaching, prepare yourself. Don't take anything for granted. Let's go G House.
Go G House. So welcome and thank you so much. Thank you so much, Coach, again. And thank you so much for everybody to tuning in here on the Coach V Show as we're celebrating Alema Te'o, all the projects that he has going on here on Island City where the beach meets the streets. Is your boy from the G House, Coach Te'o, your boy, Coach V. One love, mad respect.
One love.
Choo!